Rise of a nation, sounds, from a liberated Bantu.
Yakubibanabantu. Mutoto wa Kibantu.
All praises to NINI na NINI. Umhandla Vana Bermuntu. Bawo, YAMAZULU. Bawo, YAMAZULU. All praises to NINI na NINI. Umhandla Vana Bermuntu.
KEMBO na TATA NZAMBI YAMAZULU MPUNGU TULENDO NINI na NINI SOMANDLA NGAI MURUNGU MWENE NYAGA. Depending on where you are, I greet you. Nusiemi vetwa bumbote bana vaisole. Mpo salama watoto wa Mungu. Moloeni abantuana abangone. Muriega shiana shiangai. Kenda moyoru. Narorere. As we know you by Isolele. Yes, it's that time we sit and rightly divide the word of truth. And today I choose to look you eye to eye, Panabeto, because we have been deceived. We may continue to play ostrich, hiding our heads in the sand, calling on ancestors of the very ones that enslaved us, and expecting victory. In the search of truth, we seek truth, because only the truth will liberate Bana by Solen. One of the biggest deceptions that has been masked under the doctrine of Christianity is our origin. Amongst the Agikoyo, we hear of Gikoyo and Mombi. Who we've come to know as Adam and Eve. So when we are referring to Gikoyo, it's not just about a tribe on the mountains of Kenya, no. It's about Moge Korioyo, the one that has been endowed with information. The ones from the land of the gods, Tanateru. So in the beginning, Ngai Murungu Mwene Nyaga created Gekoyo, the masculine spirit, and Mombi, the feminine spirit. Gekoyo has always represented the will. The male spirit represents the will. It was his will to create. The feminine spirit represents wisdom, or what those in the Hebrew camps would call Hokmah, or those that go deeper into esoteric would call Sophia. If you're agnostic, which is just basically somebody who searches out the truth beyond of what they have been fed. We never had scriptures among our people. We had oral history. The Ashkenazis would have you call the Kabbalah. Oral traditions Kabbalah is basically a doctrine received through oral traditions. That is how we attained our spirituality, through oral traditions. These doctrines were supposed to have been given to Mai, on Mount Sinai, which he then passed on to Yeshua, and eventually to Mfumu Masiya. Every generation has always had a Masiya. So if you're expecting somebody to come down from the sky, then you're wrong. He's already on the continent, his spirit. Because we are wet spirits. We have union with my water, the source of life. They tell you you have 75% water. When you cease to exist on this physical realm, you breach Kalunga and you become a dry spirit. You're separated from your water self. But you continue to exist, you continue to influence. As they continue to rest ancestor to ancestor, I acknowledge them. From Washira to Manyeki to Kiragu. Beyond that, I do not mention them because they have slept ancestor after ancestor, all the way to Mukuroni and Nyagadanga, the East Gate, the origin of life in the garden. The immortality of the soul, or life after death. This is the biggest argument that continues to exist. What is our connection to our ancestors? Our ancestors were all assigned clans, houses, if you may prefer. And every house was given a duty. So you have not been performing those duties. That's how you acquire debts to your ancestors. You're not honoring the purpose they ground you to their roots. And on top of that, you're reading an esoteric book called the Bible, calling on ancestors that have nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. Because of cognitive dissonance, we come out of Christianity. The only book we can attach ourselves to is the scriptures. Are the scriptures wrong? They have principles. Let me introduce you to exactly who is responsible for the scriptures that you have. In the beginning, sorry about that one, I just need to pull up that slide. The one we know as Lucifer. The one-eyed snake, Samahongo Babantwari, or the devil. The one who took the daughter of Cain. Yes, most of you ask where Lilith came from. That's the daughter of Cain, and mated with her because she loved to drink human blood. And together, they took the name Elohim. But the only true cosmic force of creation is the masculine force, TATA NZAMBI, MPUNGU TULENDO, who is two in one, who is also the feminine force, who we call Mother Nature, because what does Mother Nature do? You give her something that is dead and decaying, she sprouts life. That's why from a decaying body, mushrooms grow, fungus grow, life sprouts from death. That's the work of the feminine spirit. And that's why the first to ever be created, believe it or not, were the 9 daughters to completion. But because somebody would have you deny the feminine spirit That's why the people of Kingipiti or Egypt, if you prefer, use the ankh, which represents the womb, the feminine spirit. Because from the feminine spirit, life is birthed. Then comes in the son of Lucifer and Lilith. Some of you know is Dagon, who is Sargon, the name which actually means evil incarnated. Before the time of Noah or Nuhu, Nimikongo if you prefer, the time of the flood, which came long after Abraham's story and Sarai. Oh, you have no idea how much you have been deceived, Panabet. He is the one that took all the vain imaginations, because man, like his creator, wants to create. So we created the Most High in our own image and in our own likeness. That's why we made idols. And to every vain imagination that we've had, like the imagination of the Most High that we have from the Christian doctrine, the imagination of the Most High that we have from the Islamic doctrine, the imagination of the Most High that we have from all world religions, are just creating the Most High in the likeness of our image, not the vice versa. Because if you know of the Luciferian priesthood, as it is above, so is it below. So when we search for the kingdom within, we realize that we never had anything like holy books. We created this in our likeness. Now, Satani, or who you call Lucifer, adopted the names of all these deities, taking over their temples and killing the priests and installing his priests. That's where when Mfumu came to the temple, he pointed out. But Mfumu was a man, Muntu, endowed na roho wa Ngai. And if you had seen the last video, the introduction to the Kabiru, the history of your people, because it's not just about one tribe, I tell you this for a fact. Even that is an identity that they had to take up to hide their identity. The three pillars, because all things work in threes, in triples of three. That's why the 9 in fullness to totality of 10 is the completion. And if most of you remember when we had Pastor Melo here, he said that 999 is the number of completion, the inverse of the number 666. 666 represents the carnal mind. So whatever understanding of religion you have, Banabeto, you have created in your mind, in your own likeness. And how does this work? Because in all things come in two. One against the other. We did that when we covered the testament of the patriarch Asher or Asu. They changed their names. We are getting books that are leading us to the truth, and we are analyzing them as much as we can and trying to bring this information in a timely manner. But so there's a good inclination versus the evil inclination of the soul. That is why Muntu has the capacity to do good and Muntu has the capacity to do evil. And hence it is written in that book of Genesis. Yes, it is written. I did not write it. So it is written. And so Nini and Nini smelled a sweet savor. And that sweet savor is the death to the evil inclination, which is the animal soul, the soul without compassion, the spirit based on instinct, and the good inclination that dwells on the holy intelligence. Omenyi wao diguno deru. Because when they tell you the kingdom is beside you, the biggest battle that you'll ever have to fight is in your mind. You win the battle in your mind, you're liberated, you know it's a lie. Then connect with your ancestors, connect with your ancestry, have a meal with your ancestors, send a spirit being to Kalunga. That's the essence of the sacrifice. A spirit calls unto spirit. You know, we have a saying among my people. Gudia dehora yoni mahoya. A bunch from the ancestors is not appeased with prayers. They continue to exist, they're part of your lineage, but yet you deny them. You want to affiliate yourself with the teachings of Paul and deny the teachings of Mogo wa Kibiru. You want to associate yourself with the teachings of King Hezekiah, and you don't want to associate yourself with the teachings of King Ushaka. And then you claim an ancestry connected to the land of Tanateru, the land beyond the rivers of Kush. Who's fooling who? Who's fooling who, Banabeto? For how long shall we be enslaved? That you think your enslaver will give you the book that will liberate you. You're only supposed to read this book and realize that that book is only trying to glorify the fallen one. The mighty one of love and peace suddenly becomes murderous and bloodthirsty, killing women and children. Who's fooling who, Banabe? Who's fooling who? But we continue. All things that appear upon the physical plane must first appear in the mental plane. The desires of your heart become your reward. As you conceive an idea in the mental plane, your alignment with the spirit, the cosmic force of creation, which rests on the cosmic plane, YAMAZULU, beyond Kalunga, or as we, the Agikoyo, like to say, atop the holy mountain. So when you need to build something in this physical plane, you have to combine your thoughts and the cosmic force of creation. So your thoughts are what determine how you live. Your connection to your ancestors determine the power you operate in. Your relationship to TATA and NZAMBI YAMAZULU determines for how long you operate in that, because your ancestors lived righteously. Do not be deceived. How evil would they have been? They sent spies who brought Christianity, either by the barrel of a gun or through deception, so that you demonize the animal sacrifices. So which sacrifices are you bringing from beyond the rivers of Kush? 66 books? And your understanding of 66 books? Come on, who's fooling who, Banabet? You go into the Apocrypha. Those are the sacrifices you're bringing. You're bringing your heart, the inclination of your soul. Have you died to the animal inclination. I have studied Kemetic science. And I tell you, its origin is in the spirituality I have seen practiced in Mount Kenya. It's not openly practiced, so don't expect broadcasts here. But if you want to be part of it, you're more than welcome. For he who comes in peace is always welcome. He who comes to teach is welcome. And he who comes to learn is most welcome. So the 7 planes, or what you'd like to call the 7 heavens, depends on which one you want to vibrate on. If you choose the animal inclination, you vibrate on the lower souls. That's why we have people with a lot of history. But no power. Yes, you have an understanding of the scripture and you tell us you're very powerful, you've broken the code, but show me one healing that you have done, one actual healing that you have done. Tell me one actual reading that you have done. But we still want to play these games where we are judging and thinking it's a conflict between the diaspora and the continent. What conflict is there? Very many people coming from the diaspora and hosting very many. You want their testimonies as to how they have been received and everything? Reach out to them. I'm not here to prove a point to anyone. My purpose and what I was called for is to unite the 2 sticks. Tamudhamaki wa Ruriri as a king in his solely. In the first chapter of the scriptures, we find Elohim creating the 2 forces. For those who understand Kikongo spirituality, I'm talking about Mbumba Lowa and Mamandombe. Gikoyona Mombi. The names changed, but the narrative is the same. If you're willing to do the research, you'll realize we've always had the truth. But the Luciferian priesthood has tried to make us look so far from the truth that it's been hidden in plain sight. Sending Vanabeto on a wild goose chase. Come to the continent, see things that are happening. And what is even a shame is that even those that have come to the continent and have received this help, this healing, this understanding, this unlocking, continue to practice it in secret and shame and will not stand up. So who's Vanabeto's worst enemy? It's Vanabeto. I am not your enemy. I seek to see the reunion of the 2 sticks. I'm not interested in the politics of it. I'm only interested in the spirituality. So in the first chapter, we see Elohim, the 2 forces creating. And in the second chapter, we hear of Lord Jehovah, who is carrying on the work of creation. But what Lord Jehovah was doing, he was not creating. He was doing what he has been doing since time immemorial, genetically modifying. Haven't you, Banabeto, ever wondered, how is it that daughters of Muntu would birth giants? No, just look at the estimates of the figures given. Then tell me, like, how many kgs that baby would have to weigh, the size of the head. My queens that have had children, my doctors and medical practitioners, let's reason together. Because even these giants were being birthed in test tubes. You think this technology just came the other day? It's fallen, it's the technology of the fallen Malachi. Only that it's been practiced in secret. The same way when they killed your people, when they dismantled temple worship, when the fighting Kabirus had to flee Axum, when they had to make a replica of the Ark of the Covenant, which safely rests upon Mount Kenya. Say what you may, it safely rests upon Mount Kenya. See how many planes have crashed in that mountain. Go do the research, but see how many planes have crashed. And I'm talking to the researchers. Don't just go reading CNN and mainstream media. You'll never find that truth. The researchers, go look at bizarre incidents around Mount Kenya, because it is a holy mountain. Whether you choose to accept it or not, it is a holy mountain. Esoteric wisdom tells me that the reason the pyramids were created in Kingipiti, look at the position of the pyramids and look at the peaks of Mount Kenya, then see what it is they were trying to replicate. Come on, Banabeto, who's fooling who? And do not be shocked when a lot of these locations start to pop up on Google Maps, because they know through chaos, they conquer. Order through chaos. Make it right with your ancestors. Talk to somebody who has had their third eye open and let them inquire of your debts. Then pay those debts in your presence. Offer it up. If you're remote, upon request, it can be streamed. But you do not go revealing your dream to anyone. Information is pouring in. Information we are not even able to process. Esoteric knowledge coming in. And the more we analyze this knowledge, Banabeto, I wish I will tell you everything that I have come to understand. But continue fighting it. The time is coming. The breakaway, 31st March, it was announced. Mark that date on your calendar, in the calendar of the Gregorian. Do not come to me if you're not sent. Do not come to me if my message does not resonate with you. Do not come to me if you're just curious. Because what I teach is meant to understand, to be understood by those that it's meant to be understood by. I will never force my message down on anyone. However, the word bara, that's why we say like bara la Hindi in Swahili. Baharini, in the water. Wabara, those that live in the land. What was created? Bara. What you think is a Yiddish word is actually a Bantu word. Bara is used but 3 times in the first chapter of Genesis. I guess you did not know that. Now you know. All other things are said to be reformed. Genetic manipulation. The scriptures genetically manipulated. Spirituality, you cannot manipulate that. Religion, genetically manipulated. They have studied Kikongo spirituality. They have studied the Agekoyo spirituality. How are the two connected? Well, tell me how much of a coincidence this is that Kikongo, I am is NGAI, and the Kikuyu call their most high NGAI. I am within you. Zambia has never required sacrifices. Actually, even that fat is just an acknowledgement for that sweet savor, that whatever that is being atoned for, you have died to that animal soul. But then Lucifer brought the human sacrifice. That's why he tried to get Abana, or you call Abraham, to sacrifice Isaac. There is no way the Most High will test you with murder. That's not the Most High that you crave to know, Banabeto. Let's reason together. There's only one creator of death and destruction, and that is Samahongo Babantwari. So how did our ancestors live? TATA NZAMBI placed humanity in a garden with trees. Trees have always been a symbol of teachers of wisdom, the feminine spirit, Mother Nature and trees. Get it? The garden was placed eastward. The intellectuality of Muntu. Most teachers tell you that you learn by obedience to the laws of TATA NZAMBI. You think TATA did not know you would fall. Only by breaking his laws would knowledge be gained more rapidly. Muntu is a free will being. So he must be given a choice. And so NINI and NINI warns and guides, but he has never forced. He gave you that choice. You choose him, there's a life. You choose not to choose him, there's also a life. They are living it. And if you haven't noticed, theirs seems to be better than yours. But why? It's because the TATA NZAMBI has bestowed blessings upon you, Gisolin. But the custodians of these blessings, your ancestors, you continue to shame, calling on foreign ancestors. Why are you quoting John? Who is he to you? Why are you quoting Daniel? Start in North Africa, go to South Africa. If you find anybody natively called Daniel, then tell me to follow Daniel. Dissociate from the Negev. Dissociate from this esoteric book. Vomit the Christian doctrine. And serve the one that created you, because there's only one creator of heaven and earth. I know him as Sonini Nanini Somandla. Somandla Baba Abantuana Abangom. TATA NZAMBI MPUNGU TULENDO YAMAZULU. NGAI MURUNGU MWENE. Protect yourself, because we've always lived on three principalities. Kirumi dahu na mugu. Kirumi are curses, generational curses. Break from those curses. Eat with your ancestors. Send a sweet savor for them, to them. More and more priests have been ordained. By lack of, or initiated, if you prefer. Kirumi curses. That's your relationship with the ancestors, the astral world. If you've not mastered astral projection, then the only way you will communicate with us in the spiritual realm is if you request the life of a God to send its spirit and send that message to your ancestors. Keep praying till night and day. THAAYU, that is your relationship with the Most High. Stay away from blood. Stay away from unclean animals. Do not have respect for nature. Over 600 and taught orally and written in your hearts. These things, you don't need anyone to tell you they are wrong. You'll always feel that they are wrong. Mogiro, relationship with the other creation. The three pillars of the Agikoyo. When I go to my brothers in the Congo, they talk of Nzinga and Saku and Panzu. Very much within the same. The four rivers that sprouted out of the garden, esoteric knowledge now, represents the mental plane. The first one was Pishon or whatever name they put it there. We are still on the path to find them. I do not claim to know everything, but as it is revealed, I reveal. For your assessment, I don't impose it on you. Sinking into a cleft, and the next was Eden, situated inferior Eden, which is your mental plane. Vision is the astral. Gihon is the physical. And the river Kush, that is the land of Tanateru. The mental plane connects to the astral world. The astral world connects to the physical plane. And then with a combination of that, they manifest in Kush, the land of Kabiru, the fighting Kabiru, the Habiru, what they would like to call Bruce. I've seen enough wickedness in this world to know that once you go to the dark inclination of the soul, all I'm talking will sound like gibberish. But if it resonates, let's sail down Euphrates, the great Nile, and drink waters of Ubuntu. For this is the universal love plane, the plane of unity, the plane of oneness, one with NGAI, MURUNGU, MWENE, NYAGA, one with our ancestors who are Maliki Makongo, those who are assigned to guide us. I can only reveal as much as I'm allowed to. I've been trying to teach these things, but they keep taking down those videos, or for some reason they won't let me upload them. But let us understand that the truth is hidden in plain sight. Connect with your ancestry. Come out of that book, because that book is only meant to keep you spellbound. Going in circles, going in circles, going in circles. Having the history, but never the spirituality. Are you walking in Psalms 91? Are you? Are you really more than a conqueror? Let us be realistic, Banabet. How can we continue to read from a book that says the one created you is a bloodthirsty murderer? The one that created you in your image, then what does that make you? Look at those that murder, then know in whose image they are created. THAAYU, THAAYU, THAAYU.